Hey, thanks so much for clicking on this video and welcome to the Haves and the Have-Nots review here on YouTube. If you're a fan of Tyler Perry, you've come to the right place. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also check me out on these social media platforms, and links in the description below will lead you to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group, and Facebook page. Once again, thanks for joining in and enjoy the video. All right, have and have not fans, here we are with another video about little Quincy Jr. in the episode, man, The Chosen. We finally got some grim confirmation here. I mean, for one, let's just talk about the obvious. People have been asking ever since Quincy Jr.'s body was at the funeral home, when's the little boy getting a funeral? Never, allegedly. I could definitely see him getting some sort of ceremony in the future, you know, if Candace ever moves past the urn that she has in her briefcase or suitcase, but I'll get to that later. Basically, at this point, Charles revealed that he knew that Candace has been carrying around her son's ashes in her briefcase or suitcase. I forgot in her luggage. And I was so shocked by that. I mean, wow. It's just, I can't even. I mean, that explains somewhat of like how she has been able to properly grieve. I mean, not to make a joke of this, and by no stretch of the imagination am I trying to make light of this scenario, because it really is sad. And I'm not saying that to say that man, Candace is so pathetic, but no, it literally is sad. Like, damn, that this is awful. It's kind of like, you know, if you had a dog and, you know, like, you know, let's say you didn't have kids or anything or anything like that, and you carry your dog's dead body or something around with you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to judge people that stuff their animals. Personally, I would never do that. But it's kind of like, you know, you always had that reminder that, you know, oh, I abused this dog when he was alive. I didn't really take care of him or feed him or care him to the vet, and then he passed away. And instead of moving on, you literally carry that dog around you out of, is it love? Is it guilt? It's so many questions that deal with that. And to be honest, like, remember I did that video about did Derek wrestle with the same demons that Candace is dealing with now? Now, I don't want to make this video about a Derek and Candace, oh, that's her real father. Trust me, I got a video on that coming soon again. But when you, I'm just saying the slight comparison here. When you look at the fact that Candace has those ashes with her and literally broke down, I mean, she didn't fully break down like she's done in previous seasons, because really this scene was really good, the Charles and Candace scene, but there was a lot going on. I think the scene itself was almost 10 minutes long, but it felt like it was longer because it was jam-packed with so much. The fact that we haven't seen a Charles and Candace interaction in a while, we get Candace asking the questions that we've always been asking, like, you are about to be president. What are you doing with a former escort? What is, there is something not right about the situation, which I absolutely agree with, as well as I think pretty much like 80% of the fan base feel the same way, that this is not right. It just doesn't feel good. There's something that's too good about the situation to be true. And on top of that, we look at the fact that she's carrying around this urn, because if you go back to the end of season 4, was it or was it the mid-season finale, basically when Candace had that falling out with Benny and Hannah, still hands down one of the top 5 scenes of the entire series in my opinion. She said that she didn't want her son buried, you know, at a funeral service at a church, accusing Hannah of having her son killed out of spite, and the list goes on, folks. But basically it boils down to her wanting to keep her son away from Hannah at all costs. Not just Hannah, but everything Hannah stood for, you know, oh, a godly woman, a Christian, and, you know, you can keep your God and whatnot. So it's kind of ironic that in order to, I guess you could say, spite Hannah for having her son killed to spite her, I'm going to have my son cremated right here, right now, no discussion. But we never knew what happened to his ashes. The only time we got reference to the funeral home, the funeral parlor or whatever, was when Hannah went down there to get the belongings that Quincy had in his pockets and whatnot. but we never knew what happened. I mean, it seemed pretty clear that in dealing with everything, I mean, this show is like notorious for there's one big thing going on, but there's still like a swarm of other events going on in a person's life. So we knew that there was never going to be a funeral anytime soon based off everything that Hannah was going through at the time. But on top of that, we knew that Candace never wanted a funeral. And Hannah even said, like when Catherine was saying that, you know what, I'll get a lawyer, we'll fight this. Like, no matter what, that boy is her son. And it doesn't matter. This is just an empty shell. His soul is with Jesus right now. So it doesn't matter what happens to it. But she said her final goodbyes. And my God, again, I cannot understate it how damn good that scene was. I think it was the opening scene of the finale. Was it called the Veronica Show? I think it was the Veronica Show. But in any case, not to drag this on too long, basically she has the urn with her. Did not know that. So that's good that we finally knew what happened at Quincy's ashes. Compare that to Derek, who seems to be carrying around the grief and the demons that used to dwell in him, pretty much guilt for everything he's done in his past life. Hence when, him and Hannah are having a tender moment with Hannah revealing her past of being raped, and then Derek, breaking down during that prayer. And again, I talked about that in my confirmed Derek is Candace's father video. I did like an 18-minute video breaking down my thoughts on that scene, what it meant, why he was crying. Then you flip to Charles revealing the truth about what he knows to be true about Candace, and she broke down about, her son's ashes. I mean, two strong people carrying around a lot of weight with them. It's just a lot, folks. That's all I'm saying. But like I said, I'll get into that in another video. But let me tell you what I hope to see in the future. Like, I don't know the future of Charles and Candace. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if, Charles is actually being his true self. I don't know if this is all a scam. Let me just put it this way. If this is some sort of elaborate scheme in order to expose Candace for her involvement in the Quincy Maxwell murder and Oscar's murder, well, I mean, she actually pushed him out of a window, but Charles actually, in a way, applauded her because that made the job easier for him to be president without somebody like him snooping around trying to sabotage everything. Damn, politics. No wonder I'm not getting into it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how things are going to end up, but let me just talk Candace here. What I hope to see at some point is Candace to eventually move on, to see that it wasn't her mom's fault. It wasn't Benny's fault for what happened to her son. Yeah, we can go back and forth about how, well, if Hannah didn't go to see Warlock and that led to Warlock having her followed and discovering the location of where Candace and her family were staying, then they wouldn't have shown up, started shooting, and Quincy wouldn't have gotten hit. And what if Candace never gotten involved in the life? There are just so many. Look, no. There is not enough time in the day to point fingers at everyone to come up to a conclusive answer as to what happened. But at the core, it's literally Candace's fault. But in any case, all I'm saying is I hope Candace gets to the point where she can finally allow her son to rest. I mean, I don't know, scatter the ashes. I don't know what you want to do, but get to a point where you need to forgive yourself for not being there. Because to be honest, I think her carrying around the urn and whatnot is being the mother she never was, in terms of having her son at her hip, as much as she could. And it's kind of like, is it guilt? Is she trying to redeem herself by having her son with her now? I don't know. All I know is that I hope that Candace will be able to heal. What helped Hannah heal the most, Benny wasn't able to help. I mean, he tried, but it was the fact that, Hannah had supportive people around her like Benny, like Catherine, and that was baby steps, but she was able to eventually grieve and move on. Candace, she pretty much enclosed herself in a shell. Oh, you can say, well, she aligned herself, the prostitution ring at the Artesian Hotel, and you had Gia, you had RK, you had Rocky and all them, but that really wasn't a healthy environment. She pretty much jumped back into that lifestyle in order to go even harder in the this crime lifestyle. It was pretty much her coping mechanism, but number one, it wasn't healthy, and number two, she was being, I guess you could say, somebody like her would say, hella sloppy, because that was not the calm, cool, and collected Candace. She was just lashing out in the only way she knows how. But if there was ever a time where she can properly grieve, have somebody in her life, but it's hard for her to trust anybody, and we can understand why. But I hope that there is a point where Candace will be able to properly grieve and, put the ashes in one place, or just let the boy rest. So, guys, we got the confirmation. Number one, there has been no Quincy Jr. Funeral. And number two, what happened to the urn carrying his ashes? His mother has it. So with that being said, what do you hope to see in the future development of Candace's character? What do you hope to see happens to Quincy Jr.'s ashes? Like I said, I just hope the boy is able to be put to rest properly, not burn to ashes out of spite, and then carrying the urn around, during her hoe duties. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. These are the kind of conversations I like to have. It's not necessarily about bashing on a character for being awful, but talking about, oh, I see why she's doing what she's doing, but I hope it means that she'll be able to heal in the future. Same thing we need to have happen to Veronica, if you ask me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, because I really want to get a good discussion going below in the comments, and I'll talk to you all soon.